Hi, Bosco. Hi, Neil.
Hi, Neil.
Give me a second to go and get the agenda.
How's it going?
Oh, good. I can happily say that I voted for some people from this call on the elections. What's good shouldn't be changed. Yeah. Hi, Tex.
Hi, Ron. So I've just pasted the agenda as usual, and for some reason I can't pin it.
I will try.
Hi, Leandros.
Ah,
And these are
I
the
pinned it. Should be fine.
And Ryan, you were looking for feedback on your work prioritization.
For the Dijkstra hard fork, yeah, but I'm reading through the IO proposals now, and it kind of throws a wrench in that. I don't know. Maybe what they're doing is better actually than having a vote, but so far, at least half the SIPs that are on the vote are now work packages. So, but they're individual or smaller work packages, so maybe that's a better way. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure what the best path forward. Like, I was thinking that this vote would be a good way of prioritizing things for Dijkstra, but maybe it's not the best approach. I don't know. I'm curious to know what you guys think. So.
Okay. So let's have the discussion, Ryan, and then we can decide.
Yeah, we can have a discussion how they be captured, because I mean, you need to be able to, rank them.
Yeah, that's fine. Are we doing that first, or are we gonna get to that? Looks like it's later down the road.
Yeah, I put it later on the discussion.
Okay, that's fine.
We probably got. But if you need to leave early, let me know. We can reprioritize.
I should be good for the next hour and a half. So
great. So good to see you, Duncan. Hope all's going well. Any items that anyone needs to add to the agenda, or any things we should prioritize? Hi, Sebastian.
Hello.
It's all going. So just wait a minute or so in case others like to join us. Apologies from Nicola. He can't make it. Nicola Berry. Okay, so I propose that we start, and if anyone joins late, we can fill them in. So welcome to the Technical Steering Committee meeting of April the 22nd, 2026. We've got a number of items on the agenda. It's fairly packed. A lot going on. As usual, please, if you have items to raise or items to prioritize, please let us know. But let's start with going through the actions. Bosco.
Okay, just give me a second. I will go through them from the Gitbook space. The date was 15th. Okay. Actions. Okay. Finalize and submit the 2026 TSC budget proposal. That's still going, right? And that's also on the agenda
Yeah, we will discuss that later.
Okay, Neil, create an outline for a professional technical review process. That was also the case last week, I think.
No progress has been made on that because busy on other things. Okay.
Okay. Okay, execute the plan. This was kind of a halfway through exercise. So for the making specific Discord channels read only for the public to improve technical communication. So Tex, since you were doing that work yesterday during the hard fork working group call, so is now working group hard fork channel open to anybody, right?
It is, with a caveat that you still have to have an invite to the server. That topic is currently under discussion to be actioned as soon as possible.
Okay, so you still so currently you need to have the invite link, but that invite link can be shared, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's almost like it usually works, but it's
We're working on that. It's a
but there is
much authority for anybody to share it, but for those that need to have it or where it's already out there that I can't control, then it's out there. It is accessible. I made the necessary changes that I could as of right now. The rest of it is
Okay.
an organizational change that is currently in process. So.
okay, great. So even after that organizational change or whatever is going to happen, there's not going to be an invite at all. Is that the outcome?
That is the expected outcome, yes.
Okay, great.
Great. Thank you, Tex.
Okay, so now that we have the way to do it, we should discuss which other channels we should. So should we create a channel for parameter updates, which was where this originated from? So if you want to communicate parameter updates to the wider community and not having them go through the registration for applying to be an Intersect member, so this should be the first next channel that is created for that. So we can discuss that, not right this moment, but perhaps this week or next week. Just the same. For parameter updates, Tex. Okay. If you have the link to the channel, let me know. So can we make the same thing that we did for hard fork on that channel as well? Is that the thing that we want? Kevin, Neil, anybody?
This is all going to stem back to actually changing the rules of the server itself. So that's the big blocker right now.
Mm-hmm.
Once that's changed over, it's very simple to request a change in permissions from one channel to the next. But what I was saying is there is already an updates channel. We don't have to create something new. We just have to fix our key blocker and we're good.
Okay. I didn't know that there was a channel for updates, for parameter updates.
That's great. So that will solve the problem that Alex was having about, or Neil raised about communicating parameter changes.
So just to be sure I understood, sorry guys for drifting off. So Tex, is that updates channel also open to anybody with the invite?
Not in the same way that hard fork is right now, but again, the way that hard fork is opened up, it's not. There's still the larger issue, but I can. I could make that change, but it doesn't do any benefit. That's making incremental changes. How do you put it? That's putting the garnish on the plate one leaf at a time. I'm trying to deliver a fresh meal.
Okay. If I'm hungry. Anyway, okay, all good. Keep us updated. Ryan to coordinate with other Ryan on, and that's, I suppose, the thing that will be discussed on the agenda, right? Maximum list of workable SIPs, given how the things are changing in the meantime. So, are we covering that today or not?
Yes, we'll cover that later.
Okay. For you, raise the guardrail script testing requirement with Mike Horn on preview.
I raised it with him. I'll do it again just to make sure it doesn't get lost.
Okay, he might be having a fever. Today, okay, all members review the parameter committee documents on parameter K for 1000 and min pool cost 75. We had a link shared in chat. So the links were shared, if I'm not mistaken. So how do we make it, how do we call it a success or not? So were there any feedback after the review? Was any review done?
I've seen some comments coming in on the document. So Ryan Wiley made some comments. I've also seen some comments by other community members. I'm not sure whether the technical steering committee as a whole has looked at this, but I'm happy to say, well, it's up to you, Alex. But I would say the issue's been raised. You've had some feedback. So if you want more feedback, we can keep this on the agenda and we can raise this as an agenda item if you liked in future.
Any confirmation? Should we move on then?
Let's take an action to put this on the agenda for next time, Bosco.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
And it's discussed, has reviewed it. By then we can just take it as done.
Okay, then this concludes the list of action items. But first, just want to remind: did you count yourself about how many members are here? Are recorded?
I did a count. There are 7 voting members present.
Okay.
We are quorate.
Okay.
If we
Just
need to-
double checking.
So any decisions, we are quorate. So I thought we should go through the committee election process, both for the benefit of members here, but also anyone who is viewing this meeting. So Bosco, we have, I understand, 10 candidates for the 5 open positions.
10, yeah, I think 10, correct.
Including some current members of the committee.
Yes, the what counts is the members which term is expiring now.
So Neil and Alex, good luck, of course. Your future participation very welcome. Sebastian, Duncan, sorry that you haven't reapplied. Your service is very much appreciated.
Hopefully next time we will have a vice chair, right?
One step at a time, please, boss.
One day, I can only hope for it.
So please do vote for the candidates. There's some good candidates there. They deserve good support. A lot of people who I'm familiar with. It's in some ways a difficult choice, I think, to make. So it's going to be an interesting election. So please do take the opportunity to vote for the best people. Bosco, are there any dedicated X spaces?
Yes, I shared that with you, but I don't have them next to me. So I know I shared with you, so I'll give it to you right away if text doesn't. No. Somebody text, raise a hand, feel free to jump in.
Hang on, I'm grabbing the link. There you go.
Yeah. The registration is
So
pretty
next
much
step is there's a virtual hub tomorrow at saying 1500. I'm not sure which time zone that is. That's presumably UK time. So that is 15 minutes before the current time tomorrow. There is a X space on the 28th of April at 15:30 UTC, 16:30 UK time. There's one on the virtual hub on the 30th of April at 1500 UK time, 1400 UTC. So please do, candidates, please do participate in those. Please, it's a good time to meet people, to meet the voters, and to answer any questions they might have. And anyone who's voting, please do go along and ask the candidates questions. Great. Shall we move on?
Yep.
TSC budget proposal. So there's some news here. So the reason this is not completely finalised is that yesterday so on Monday there was a presentation by Jack Briggs of the overall Intersect budget proposal, which is still in a draft form. And what became clear is that some of the items that we were proposing as TSC were also proposed as part of the Intersect main budget. So some of the things we've been advocating for have been picked up by Intersect. Okay. Now, obviously, what we don't want to do is to put in two budgets which ask for the same thing. That would be incredibly insensitive. So I had a discussion with Jack and Bosco yesterday about that. And what we've agreed is that the Intersect will put those items into its budget, but where appropriate, the TSC will have duties associated with, not with the organisation, but they will have input into the execution of the items. So the three items that Intersect are taking on, the first one is they're including a provision for technical meetings. So we had written that in our proposal. Intersect will be taking that on. They will be promoting it. And what I've agreed with Jack is they will pick up the text we've written, which is more detailed than their text. They will include provision for virtual meetings as well as physical meetings. And they will also pick up the meeting organisation role. So they will fund a central person from Intersect staff to do the meeting organisation. But we will be involved in choosing the meeting topics, providing information to the meeting organiser, setting up the programme. So I think that's a good outcome. It's something we want done. Intersect will defend it as part of their budget, and we won't have to defend it separately as part of the TSC budget. So I would see that as a good outcome for us. And the second item is that Intersect are putting in a bigger budget item to cover the operation of the Security Council. So this includes issues like the bug bounty program, support, I think, for the incident officer, other items, but critically it will include remuneration for community members who are involved in the Security Council. So again, that seems to me to be a reasonable thing for Intersect to pick up centrally, takes it out of our budget, but very importantly, the item doesn't get lost. So what that does is to reduce our budget items down to 2 or 3 main things. So we'll need to Bosco go through and revise the proposal to highlight that and to point out that some items we'd mentioned probably are now part of the overall Intersect budget proposal. So that's why we're not at the stage of finalisation. So there's a question for you. So assuming everyone is happy with that, comfortable with that, I think it's a good outcome. We get support.
So you mentioned there were 3 items. You've talked to 2.
I've actually spoken to 3. So the three items. One were the workshops, the technical workshops.
Right.
Second was the part-time meeting organizer.
Okay, that right. Okay, and then the third one was the TSC. Okay,
The third one is the Security Council, community member support. So there are 3 items that are picked up.
As a matter of interest, what fraction of the budget does that? How much does it reduce the budget we're asking for from?
It's reducing. I need to check it.
A small amount, a huge amount?
It's reducing it by something like $150 to $200,000. Yeah, so it's a
Substantial.
big fraction of the total that's being asked for.
Yeah.
That then means that the total budget we're asking for is going to be smaller, of course. So, Bosco, the Ecclesia is open. What do we need to do as a committee to put in our proposal?
We have to have a proposal finalized, so Jack to take action and to move away those, so I can remove them from the proposal. So then finalize proposal and then submit it. That's it. It's simple steps, but the time that it needs is different. So
Okay. And the proposal process is the same for committee as for a community process proposal.
I don't see any difference. I would be very much surprised if there is a difference that I'm not aware of. So essentially, I could potentially create or finalize the proposal based on what we've done, but I would what we have discussed with Jack yesterday. But I would rather have Jack action those things before I remove them.
That's the point I was about to make.
So
It's definitely better to go into Ecclesia with a final proposal. Bosco.
yes.
Well, not just that, but actually, you want to make sure none of them actually fall between the gaps here. Okay, so there were 3 things that we were going to ask for that they have verbally taken on, and in the nicest possible way. They could a cut and paste error. They're only a cut and paste error away of not happening, right? So let's have if we can wait to do our proposal until after the main one for
Interesting.
Thank you, Bosco. That's what I was worried about. Thank you.
The thing is, like, I'm mostly worried not about the copy of it. It's the numbers, the money being asked, because all this needs to fit in properly, and it's easy to make an error. And I just want to be sure what I'm doing with what we have. Okay, that's this.
So we will wait for the insect proposal to be finalized.
Yes, and that will give us the clear sign. Okay, this is now completed, done, considered. We can remove it. We can adjust TSC proposal.
Yeah,
based on that.
And there is a step that we have to take, which is there's a treasury donation that has to be made. Bosco.
Yeah, I have that all in control.
That's great. So we will need that to be done.
Yeah.
So to your point, Neil, and Bosco, there will be a point when, if the intersect proposal isn't submitted, we will have to go ahead with the TSC proposal, because otherwise we will miss the deadlines. So we can track that. This time next week wouldn't be too late.
There's a good thing that I need to think
The
of.
point is that, yes, the worst outcome is we remove things that TSC don't put their proposal on, and it's missing things. So I'm just saying clearly, if the TSC don't do it, then we have a different question as to whether they are actually going to do it. But I mean, if they don't do it, all hell breaks loose anyway. So, yeah.
Well, Insect as a whole needs to get its proposal together. Yeah. The other thing to feed back to this group is that Insect is reducing its overall budget request compared with last year. So last year, I think it's about $10 million. This year, it's about $6 to $7 million, I think was the number that was being mentioned. So there's a reduction in the budget, and that mostly comes because Insect is not going to cover the administration cost for projects from its own budget. It will add a surcharge to each of the proposals that is being put in. So each of the community proposals will have a surcharge that is designed to cover the Insect administration cost. And that is more sustainable from a Insect perspective, because it doesn't have to administer an arbitrary number of proposals from a fixed budget. So the headline figure will be lower. The total income may be similar slightly lower, slightly more, depending on the proposals that are submitted and approved. Great. So we've got actions to take in Bosco, but these are triggered by Intersect.
Exactly. That's what I'm waiting for.
And we can chase this up at the steering committee meeting on Monday.
Yes, I agree.
Brilliant.
Okay, this beauty.
Van Rossum hard fork. It's happening. Do you want to speak to this, Bosco? So,
Okay, I will probably be able to do it nicely. If you want to correct me at any point in time, any of you, feel free. Come on. Okay, 10.7.1 has been released since Monday, I think. It's a mainnet release, so it's not a pre-release anymore. Everything is there available to be tested. When it comes to Node version 11, it is expected to have to be available early next week, right? And that is the thing that is going to be the version, expected to be the version that is going to be used for forking all the test nets and later on, if everything goes well, mainnet. So far so good. Would you have any feedback on that so I can continue?
just say everything is going very well. As we mentioned last week, there were some performance issues with Node version 10.7.0. The benchmark performance and testing team, they helped track those down, and so coordinated effort there. And something which hasn't been mentioned, it's not quite relevant to the Van Rossum hard fork, is that performance results are also looking good for LSM. Again, an issue cropped up with the LSM nodes, with the LSM support, but this is now looking good. So we'll expect that in node 10.7.1. Overall, the performance now looks very good.
Even better than what was anticipated, I would say.
Correct. The performance is better for node 10.7 according to the benchmarking results than for 10.6. So that's a very positive step.
Okay, overall timeline remains unchanged.
So it's probably worth saying node 11 is expected next week. This will not be in pre-release for very long. It will be promoted to mainnet readiness almost immediately, I expect, because it's a very minor change from node version 10.7.1. So expect node version 11 very, very soon. And that version will be the one which we can hard fork, preview, pre-prod, and ultimately mainnet with.
Okay.
It's getting real. It's getting serious.
Based on what we have discussed, there are different opinions on submission of the governance hard fork initiation governance actions on different networks at the same time. Submission policy does have a lot of flexibility, so it's yet to be discussed, and be mindful that it needs to have some meaningful time for testing, for sure. Currently, how it looks like is that the hard fork action submission for mainnet is planned for 28th of May, so in a little bit more than a month from now. That means sufficient adoption from the community stakeholders, and of course, all these things happening or forking the preview and pre-prod ahead of that. So all of that is coming within a month from now. When it comes to the risk register log, basically most risks are mitigated, risk register is available. So there is literally, I would say, some crazy outstanding risk that is going to drive us crazy at the moment, at least by the risk log. Unless you have other opinion, Kevin, but I would say nothing outstanding that would keep you awake at nights.
The major risks are these are to the dApps and the tools, Bosco. So thanks to Neil and Alex for calling out the Plutus parameter upgrade.
Yeah, great point.
Thanks for finding, well, for spotting that the tools have failed. The preview situation has been a wake-up call, hopefully, to tool providers. And with the dApp developers, Leonard Hegarty has been coordinating with the top, I think he said 10 to 20 dApp developers. So he's been in contact with them. They're aware of the issue. Nobody, and some of them have already responded positively to say there's no impact of the Plutus cost model change. So that's looking good as well. Again, thanks to Neil, thanks to Alex for highlighting that. So it's looking promising. There's still an element of risk there, so something we need to tie off, but it's being closed down. And as you were saying, Boss, I think all of the technical risks are now essentially mitigated. So we're now at the stage where the primary risks are social rather than technical.
Exactly. Good articulation. I think we can move on to the next one unless there are some questions.
So it's been a long time coming. Final stages.
God help us with Dijkstra. Okay. Parameter committee update.
As you just mentioned it, what was the overall timeline? When were we clear on what to hard fork? When was the scope clear, and how long did it take now to have the hard fork, right? So what's the
so the scope was defined in October roughly, Sebastian. I need to go back, but there was a meeting in Edinburgh when the scope was tied down. So the most of the scope is to do with Plutus improvements. So it's taken from October to May, June to do that for relatively straightforward scope. Okay. And in terms of the timeline, the main issue has been that people have discovered various problems during the implementation. So we thought, well, we might have been able to go with the hard fork even pre-Christmas if things had worked out well. In practice, there turned out to be a number of issues that have postponed the hard fork. But the node is much better as a result. So it's been a positive.
Okay, so we're saying 6 months.
6 months for that, for simple scope.
Yeah, it was three plus 3 months basically. Yeah, and there was no minus on it. Yeah? So but I'm just saying, as you say, for simple scope. So I would have thought something complex. But looking at 3++, you're right. Right, it's going to be 6++ or 9++. Right. I think I think we'll be making our next set of elections before we get the Dijkstra right. Okay. You can
What is it, 2-year terms now, right?
They're 2-year terms. They're 2-year.
Hopefully sooner than 2 years, Sebastian. That would be unfortunate.
I was hoping that too. Yeah, that's what I wanted to have a brief conversation about. I think that does it. Thanks.
So to be clear, I don't think the scope was the issue. Okay, the issue has been things that have cropped up during the development process that have had to be addressed by the teams. So there's been more implementation than you might have expected from.
So it was more basically there were risks maturing basically. Yeah.
There are risks maturing.
Yeah. So it isn't about scope; it's about risk management.
Okay, correct, and to some extent that's not predictable. It's 3 to 6 months as a.
No, but Kevin, I would say it's completely expected, right?
It's expected but not predictable.
Yes, exactly right. Right. It's predictable they will occur. Something will occur. It's just how quickly you can get rid of them. Yeah.
Yes, which of course is what makes it so hard to predict exact times.
Kevin, what would you say? Did the use of Claude and other AI tools help more with the development or
actually,
actually created more work for fixing?
Were they used in this time frame?
I
so
could
the,
think
the
yes.
team has been using Claude to assist with its development, Neil. We need to go back and ask the developer team. Best time to ask that is probably in a retrospective after the hard fork Bosco. Then you'll get a good answer.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether that contributed to actually, did that speed things up or did it actually delay things?
We could only speculate at this point in time.
I don't think that's the right question.
Okay, you can ask
The
him
right
this.
question is, did Claude help you quantify the risks or create more risks? Right? Time is not the essence here. Risk reduction is. Okay, that I'm just saying. You've got to be careful. The fact is, we're effectively trying to get to 0 defects before it's launched, right?
Yes.
And that's what that's effectively our criterion. But it's not. We have to do it in 3 months. So the question I would ask is, how did it help you with the risks and the hazards?
Exactly. So what we've seen, Bosco, is there's been an impact of AI assistance on the development process. Okay, and used properly, this can be helpful and beneficial. Okay, it may be that the code that's being developed has been tested more thoroughly and inspected more thoroughly. I would be surprised if Claude or similar agents were used to do direct coding rather than assisting with coding problems.
I don't know. So this is just a nice question. It has nothing to do.
Well, let's ask. It's a reasonable question to ask, but let's do it after the hard fork.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There's always a
It can be interesting conversation for sure. Okay.
It'll be interesting. Great.
Parameter.
So moving on, parameter committee update. Alex, anything you want to add?
No, I think we did mention quite a bit already the issues that were discovered in preview. I think it's nice that they were discovered and slowly more attention is brought to the fact that there is a change at all. I think we should just continue in pushing that narrative to see as little failure as possible. Plus, it is best practice to not hard code the cost models anyway. So simply from a dev design perspective, that's good upgrade for the devs to do.
So for the benefit of anyone watching the recording, there was a failure on preview caused by some DApps using fixed parameter settings. And those tools then failed when the parameters were updated. So that's been fixed for those tools. Hopefully it's been fixed across the ecosystem, but if not, it's something to call out.
It is Thomas.
And as usual, the test has been a success. Alex, failure was exposed.
Correct. That's what tests are for. Yeah, other than that, we discussed and circulated once more the documents on the feedback for K and bin pull cost. Also sent an email around where a short conversation sparked from it, but that I already shared in last week already, so no actual update. Bosco?
Yeah, I wanted to ask on the number 2 here. So cost model to preprod and mainnet is within 2 weeks. Does that still stands? Especially mainnet. I have I think, reasonable question about that.
Preprod we could probably do, yes.
Okay, so
I would
now
not do
that,
mainnet and preprod together.
sorry?
I would not do preprod and mainnet together.
Okay, I'm just saying within 2 weeks, whatever. It says here within 2 weeks, so I'm not.
There's no reason to delay. So we normally try to keep preprod and mainnet closely synchronized, Alex. if we're
Yes,
comfortable.
if we have found issues now on preview, then it would be ill-advised to directly push to mainnet a week later. Let's first try preprod, and then maybe the next epoch after that, mainnet.
Okay, so happy to do that, but I think we're at the stage where we can start to think about pushing the.
What one epoch staggering was actually the common thing for testnet and mainnet, or preprod and mainnet, right? So it's kind of the last rehearsal, doing it on preprod, and then before that, and we have it on mainnet.
Yes.
I have a side question for Tex. When do we expect reasonably to have these budget proposals came out of this budget process? Right now they're going to Ecclesia, and then after, at some point in time, they will be submitted as treasury withdrawals. So generally speaking, I'm worried that we are going to have a same issue, chasing people very last moment to vote for this one, because it's a threshold of 67%, right? And then SPOs needs to vote, right, as well. So how do we prepare for that scenario?
If I'm not
If it's possible.
mistaken, Ecclesia is a 51% approval metric. And then
Yeah, I'm speaking
Yes,
just
timing.
about the time coincidence. So at the same time or similar time, we might be having some, as IO submitted 9 proposals or whatever. Then you add another governance section that is important, which has nothing to do with treasury withdrawals. It is about parameter change, right? And last time when we did have a parameter change action, it was like mem unit or whatever. I cannot remember the right name. We were chasing, I remember chasing people with Alex, trying to get them to vote for the action. So I'm just speaking about the timeline. Would we face the challenge with, again, with passing the threshold that we need for Lotus cost model? What can we do to motivate people, to engage them early to vote for this?
There's no perfect timing, Bosco. We need. We're now at the stage where we really need to get the parameter update out and voted on soon, if people are going to get benefit from the hard fork.
Yeah, there's enough pressures on this that different people will be engaged. Probably me, probably you, Bosco, probably everybody to push it forward. But that's an issue with the governance piece of things right now. So I would have to divert the question over to the civics committee to see what they're doing in that regard to engage DREPs or support DREP engagement in that regard. But at the end of the day, it's a DREP's responsibility whether or not they contribute. If they do or they don't, best we can do is try. But I believe the timelines have already been inked out, if I'm not mistaken, over the last couple of weeks through Hard Fork Working Group and whatnot. So I think
I'm not saying to change the date. I'm just saying, like, given the fact that some things can happen at the same time or similar time, whether we can do anything to make it to help with the positive vote for the parameter change action, nothing else.
Yeah, let's so we'll amplify it as much as we can, Bosco. We've still got a little bit of time to do that. So
Okay.
let's discuss the other issues on the agenda, and we'll come back to that in due course. But getting communication out absolutely is something we need to do. Ryan, so Dijkstra Hard Fork scoping is saying that the IO proposals have slightly changed your thinking. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the fence about what the best path forward is. So just my general thought was there's a whole bunch of SIPs that could be included in the Dijkstra Hard Fork. Maybe the right approach is to ask the community what we value the most and then assign work items based on what the community values the most. The dilemma I'm having, and actually I'll share a screen so I can walk you through this if you don't mind. The dilemma I'm having is almost all of these SIPs are now covered elsewhere. So the ones in yellow are going to be voted on in an Ecclesia ballot for incentives. The ones in green were on the 2025 budget proposal. they had a line item associated with them. And now the ones in blue, as of the past hour or two, have a line item associated with them as well. And so many of these have had substantial amounts of work done on them already. And so it begs the question, if we're serving the community based on what SIPs we want to include, but they've already voted separately on them in as many as 3 different places, it seems to make the vote mostly redundant. Now, there are a couple that aren't accounted for anywhere. To my knowledge, Paris isn't accounted for, doesn't have its own explicit line item, but it is referenced all over the place, so maybe I'm missing something. And then the only, I think, 4 that are missing are very, very niche ones that I actually could tell you what they are specifically, but I don't know that the community would necessarily want to, they're important enough to have, you know, people weighing in on them. So I'm just curious to know what your guys' thoughts are. And like, do we still have a vote? Do we push the vote to the next, I think the Euler hard fork? I don't know. What do you guys think? Sebastian?
Some of the niche ones are also just basically cleaning up or things already kind of implemented by one on the other team. They're just kind of signaling, hey, this is happening through a set. Example is a non-segregation of block bodies, for example. And it's not really something publicly visible much, right? It's more like FYI.
And Brian, am I correct? The IO proposals have gone directly to the Treasury.
Correct.
They are not going through Intersect at all.
So the ones that they just posted, they're slightly different than last year. They are individual work packages, so that's why there's 9 different proposals, and they're instead of one bundle.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is they've actually bypassed the whole Intersect process.
Correct. Yeah, they're on direct Treasury withdrawals.
They're all direct Treasury withdrawals.
I should say they might have Intersect still as the administrator. I'd have to double check.
Yeah,
they're
but
not doing it.
They are. I mean, they are direct Treasury withdrawals. Yeah.
Yes, they are already on chain. Yeah, so I'm curious as to what your guys' thoughts are on what we should do now for Dijkstra hard fork SIP shortlist, and then what we should do going forward in the future. What is the best way of aligning work items to community intent?
I don't think we can do anything until these votes are sorted, because actually, you know, just because they've been, you know, IO has put out 9 proposals, right?
Mm-hmm.
If what happens if only 7 of them get funded,
Mm-hmm.
right? What do we do at that point? It is a non-vote, and an expression of negative community. Yeah.
So in my mind, it is a method of prioritization, right? Like if they prioritize,
but no. For example, right? Imagine they don't vote for Laos, or they don't vote for the consensus changes, right? The other things can't happen anyway. A lot of the things can't happen, right? Without that. I'm just saying. I don't know how to. There's a difference between. You can all. They've got to be voting for logical. There's a dependency graph here.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think the dependency graph is a valid point, but I think it might be separate. And hopefully that they've thought that through in their work packages when they're submitting them, because there are some that are bundled together. I think for that exact reason. I see multiple hands raised. I think Alex, you're first.
I really don't want to take away any type of momentum that is happening on this shortlist or the vote, but my thought is we don't know a date yet at all for Dijkstra. So how much sense is it to really lock in SIP items or changes that would go in Dijkstra when we don't know yet when even approximately that would happen? If we're aiming at autumn, okay, then yes, it's a good time, because between now and autumn, not many things will be released.
Well, I think part of the intent of having a vote is to answer that question, right? We need to decide what is in the scope, and then we can get a date.
Are linked to.
So I don't know. I'm not sure what's best. Sebastian, what are your thoughts?
Is this really about asking for like product input? Because to Alexander's point, like if you don't have really a date, let's just put up one speculative date, right? Because I think the community or the downstream beneficiaries of these features, if you want to call so, their desire will be always earlier than later, right? Of course, right? You want it. But if there's only this, it's not about like finding which ones of these are most important. There is other votes actually, as you say, happening on like what you want to get funded and so on. And even if things don't get funded, they could still happen because somebody just cross-finances it, whatever, right? So it's not so much about kind of asking what is most important to go into at this very moment. Maybe it's more about what is feasible for the impacted people. So it's kind of like anyone who needs to be part of the readiness later on, right? So like most likely it's node developers, but also or sometimes it's kind of wallets or explorers or like ecosystem. Maybe all dApp developers needs to have a heads up for this one or that one. So they care about some parts of the scope, well, maybe others they couldn't care less, right? So it's kind of, it's more on the developer side, getting inputs on a shortlist, less so than of what would you like to have on a wish list kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. So my that was my thought on that initially, is what does the community want? And then once the community knows what it wants, then we could say, go to the developers, be like, okay, can we build this? Is it feasible? Is it something you can do? And then people could submit work packages to what the community wants. And maybe what the community wants is the Cardano vision strategy documents. Maybe that's the place for this, but I don't know how we align SIPs to that. Like the SIPs fall into a weird spot where like we have them, they've gone through the SIP process, and now what is the next step, right? There's 100 different methods that could go from there, from it's made it through the SIP process to now it's live on chain. And that's the challenge here, is how does the community get to weigh in on that?
Yeah, so the strategy document isn't designing a work plan, Ryan. What you're talking about here is the work plan. And we're probably not in the situation at the moment, but it's quite possible you could have conflicting SIPs, which both meet the same part of the strategy.
Yeah,
And
I don't even necessarily know if this is the work plan, more of the wish list, the community wish list. That's how I was looking at it.
Yeah, it's information, but it's information that drives the work plan.
Yeah,
and the
exactly.
real concern, Sebastian, is we get to say this time last year, and one or two of these SIPs haven't been implemented. Do we wait for those to be completed, or do we say, okay, no, the major things are ready? We go with the scope that we've got at that point. So we do need information to drive the decision making. The community has to give us information about what is most important. If one piece of implementation hits an unexpected delay, do we wait for it, or do we just say, okay, you've missed your chance, that's going in Euler?
Yeah. No, it is. Yeah, Sebastian.
Is it maybe then a feature to Venn matrix and basically not the community or not the beneficiaries, but rather the providers of those features, or like kind of the people who need to kind of ship that by that time, right? Would be kind of voting or kind of putting a statement on whether, okay, this scope would be feasible for this timeline. If this is this time, then this one is maybe what we believe should be there, and so on. Like, so everyone gives their impression on, okay, making this less a wish list, more a short list, right? So if the hard fork is to be scheduled for that time, right, then only these two things is possible, for example, or this is what we would want to have in, or think it's possible to have in, whereas on a later timeline, then maybe more of it will be, and then we can cross-check with that, is that even a good and viable package, given also this other kind of sentiment reflecting votes on funding and budgeting, if you want.
Yeah, so this definitely as soon as we've got Van Rossum tidied up, this is definitely going to be very important. But maybe the correct thing to do is to postpone for now, see how the voting goes, and then we'll have a clearer picture about the possible scope, right? Agreed?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense to me. And even if we were to only count the things that have already been voted on and had a line item associated with them, that's already a lot of things to go into a hard fork.
It's a huge number of things to go in a hard fork.
So maybe we already have the information we need based on all those votes. and maybe it's worth thinking about how to align it better with the community for Euler, however you want to pronounce it. So
maybe it's more about to find out like now all of this is kind of aspirational for being this hard fork, right? And then it having a conversation on, oh, that's maybe technically not sound or not reasonable or just too risky, or in terms of risk management on delays too, right? So if it's so big of a package, right, then the potential delay can be very big, right? And then we need to kind of discuss, okay, but which are non-optional, which are more optional, which are potentially to delay it, which are not. And then what we need to have also kind of some estimate or gut feeling at least, like which of these maybe are already done or which one are likely to kind of be ready by when and so on. And that gives us a bit of a working discussion.
Yeah. So let's carry on the discussion, Ryan. Neil, we've got one item you wanted to raise about Laos. You did some evaluation using your AI friend.
I thought, okay, what I basically did was I went and used I've been using training more and more tools to do performance evaluation. So I basically asked for a performance evaluation of the feasibility of Laos to be able to meet the constraints, its public constraints. And basically the report I produced, I went over it, got it about 80% right, it missed some things out, I did it. These raise a bunch of questions as to the potential feasibility of reaching the performance constraints, right? Okay, and I would like to see what process are we going to use to raise these things, right? I think the first thing is people should have a chance to have a look at it and see if those questions are reasonable. The second thing then is I would think we should then, as a committee, if you're acceptable to that, ask the Laos development team to answer the questions in it, right? Because if those questions can't be answered, Laos can't be deployed. Is what's, I'm either wrong or you're not going to get what you wanted, right? You're going to get something, possibly, but actually these all feel like you're not going to be getting what people have been promised, is what I'm trying to say. It's not feasible, is what this says. And we haven't even looked at various other cases like there is assuming a whole bunch of perfection even in this analysis, right? We haven't started any of the slightly worse cases analysis. Okay, so I'm just saying this is what I'm worried about. There's a risk here. There's a risk that you get to the end of the day and you basically start to think if you deploy it without understanding its performance, you kill the system, right? And if you have to cut it down such that it works, then you're going to be set. You'll have told them 100 times and it's actually 2 times, right? I'm not saying it will be that, but I'm just saying there's a whole bunch of things I'm worried. This is, it's not like I've not been worried about this before, right?
Yeah, so this sounds to me like useful feedback. Obviously we need to look at this in detail. So
actually I am going to propose the following, right? Read it and get feedback on it. Go read it, work out if you believe it or you don't believe it, right? And then if you've got questions, I will clearly take questions about it. But I'm not going to be. I actually believe that this is for the numbers that have chosen and the numbers that have been published. This represents all the numbers that have discussed there are bounding best cases, and it still can't happen in the bounding best case, right? That's what I'm trying to say. Now, if you disagree with that, if you disagree with those statements, I'll be looking for, okay, let's have why. But I actually think this is something that needs to be published by the TSC towards basically this is holding people's feet to the fire, right? We've got to do it.
Great. So what I'm going to propose, Sebastian, you've probably not had enough time to look through this yet, right?
I did have a time to look through this a bit. I got some answers, and also I think we need to have some place to kind of do clarifications or questions first, right? Kind of, as you say, right? There was also, I think you mentioned, like is this an accurate reflection? Like, were all the relevant materials be used already, right? Because we believe there is a few things which I believe have not been taken into account of, or one or the other, I think, documents were seemingly not taken into account. For example, some other claims I think would be nice to have a discussion on. The question is where we're going to have it, right? It's great that we have something written to work with, a slide deck, which I, for myself, scribble on it digitally, but also by hand, or also could have a discussion with people on. Where do we, or what's the best thing would work? Yeah,
I'm going to suggest, right, that you basically write, say what you, but I don't want to have, I don't want, we've had several verbal discussions about this and got nowhere. This is why I've gone paper, right?
Yeah.
So basically, give me back your whys and your wheres.
Okay, so I give you back more paper, and then we just do paper.
Give us back more paper. Right? Let's do this. Let's go for, here's a proposal. You know, just write a set of slides and say, this is what we believe is wrong, right? And then together we will have a very public discussion about what's happening. Because I mean, I think the whole, I'm sort of slightly fed up with the way that basically a lot of these questions are just not getting properly answered, and my concerns don't disappear, right? Because I don't want, the position I do not want to be in is having spent all the money, we can't use it.
Yeah, and I'm all for having public discussions. Ideally, we can have discussions in threads, right, and basically forth and back. Something we had on the SIP, which was great, right? So we could have actually on this aspect and on this aspect. You're citing, I think, material from this repository, which I just linked on the chat.
Yeah,
I think there is some findings which you're citing in this document. Maybe the discussions forum of the repository is the right place to have the discussion.
What I'm looking for, if you don't mind, as an initial threat, is gather the general thing against gather your general dislike of the proposal together in one go, please, to start off with, because otherwise, I mean, what I'm also trying to do is not end up with, I'm trying to find a way of being relatively optimal with the time, right? And you know, handling 15 different discussion threads isn't going to work, is what I'm saying.
Great. So what I'm going to propose is we put a substantial item on the agenda for next time. So maybe 20-30 minutes. We reserve 20 to 30 minutes.
And if basically the feedback can be delivered 48 hours beforehand, I will take on to process that feedback.
But we can't do it in these meetings. We had 5 minutes today. I need to drop now to a node diversity workshop. And next week I'll have the monthly call for Laos anyways around this time. So, and we did,
so
10 minutes will never be enough in this setting, right?
Give us the feedback written, then we can basically, I'm trying to make it, right, we can do that. And then when we've gone around that once, perhaps we can put it on the agenda. Okay.
Yeah, so I think we've got so the clear path here, Sebastian, which is you've got a monthly meeting next week. We were going to go to that instead of this meeting anyway. So you've got a chance.
Yeah, well, the point is, the reason
let's do this in 2 weeks' time then.
The reason I did all of this was basically, we weren't going to have a deep dive, right? And so I basically said, okay, I'm going to go and put it into paper. I'm sort of, let's do it in paper. If you can get something back to us for say next week, then basically we can have a better document in 2 weeks' time. Okay.
And we'll commit to reserving a substantial part of one of these meetings for the discussion. If you've managed to resolve all the issues before that, then we can go on to other things. Great.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, everyone. Great discussion as always. Looking forward to reading what Neil has found. Looking forward to seeing what Sebastian's responses and the team's responses are to this. This will be a great discussion topic.
See you.
See you all again very soon.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.